This is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast, where CEOs, senior leaders, and C-suite executives share their advice. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best leaders know how to share their ideas concisely and quickly. Let's jump right in. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
First, Stacy, thank you for having me on the podcast today. I'm Cheyney, and I've been involved in digital marketing and advertising for 22 years. And right now, I lead global sales for digital ad platform CitrusAd.
And how long have you been with CitrusAd?
So it's funny, I just started working with CitrusAd a little over a month ago,
Nice.
but they were a technology partner of mine in my prior company where I was at. They were a technology partner of mine for a year and a half.
That's amazing. Well, with just a few 22 years of experience, we'll see if we can get something out of you. What does that sound?
Hopefully a little bit.
Well, very good. I'm excited to hear about it. Question number 2, what's the best thing about leading people from your perspective?
So for me, it really goes down to it comes down to the people. So I love working with people who have a positive attitude and that drive to succeed, because as long as they have those 2 things, they can be taught a lot of the skills that are needed to work in a particular job. But one thing I found is that oftentimes when you're setting goals as a team, people don't necessarily believe in themselves and believe in their ability to hit those goals. So it really excites me when I'm believing in somebody more than they believe in themselves. And when that light bulb finally goes on, where they're starting to achieve the results and they start to believe in themselves and their belief catches up.
That's so rewarding. It's interesting you say that, because I'm sure with kids, right, we say quite a bit, I can't, want it more than you do, right? I can't believe in it more than you do, right? I can't love you more than you love yourself, sort of idea. So I love the way you really challenge them to, who do they get to become through this product, through this byproduct, and challenge them to see themselves the way you see them.
Yep, absolutely. It's been fun to see people that I've worked with at the beginning of their career and see them start to believe in themselves and then go on to do great things.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, that leads me perfectly then to my 3rd question, which is, I often hear from other leaders, business would be great if it weren't for that pesky people part. I'm curious, what are your thoughts about that?
I never understand that. To me, it's all about the people, and maybe it's because I'm in marketing and advertising, and it's a people business. So I just don't understand it. I grew up doing team sports, so for me, it's all about what you can achieve as a group, as a company, as a team. It's almost as if all your achievements don't mean as much if you're doing it by yourself, if you're not sharing it with a group of people and you're working together to a common goal.
I totally agree with that. If you ever got to the finish line and you're like looking for somebody to celebrate with, and it's like, where's the folks? Who do I get to play with now?
Yeah, exactly. My wife and I have run several marathons together, and it's so gratifying that when we cross the finish line together.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, so if you were sitting here then with a group of leaders, right, and you had an opportunity just to share some wisdom, what piece of advice about communication would you give to them?
It's interesting. A lot of people think when they get into a leadership role, especially in the C-suite, that it's about dictating. It's about giving speeches from a pulpit. But what it really comes down to, and what I've found, is it's the one-on-one communication and talking to people as people. And that's really where the biggest gain comes from. You can learn so much about somebody and gain somebody's trust and inspire people. Your job as that leader is to inspire greatness. And that happens really with one-on-one individual conversations versus just dictating from above.
Inspire greatness. I've ever heard, the job of a leader is to enroll and inspire, right, the team. And I love that.
Absolutely.
So as I think about this, it's important to pay attention to kind of other leaders and people that are out there making a difference, right? What other successful business leaders like yourself should be on the podcast, right? Who else should we be paying attention to? What other Seans are out there, getting bloodied and beaten on the battlefield of business and life that we should be paying attention to?
It's funny you mention that as an other Sean, because there's the first person I'll mention, his name is Sean Finnegan. And there's several folks that I've learned from throughout my career. Part of being a good communicator is also being a good observer and listener. And so learning from people like Sean Finnegan, who has held several roles, he's the co-founder of Chameleon Collective. Brian Quinn, who actually recruited me to my former company, he's the president of a company called Open Slate. And then my current CEO at my current company is a very inspiring guy, Brad Moran. He's the CEO and co-founder of CitrusAd. And he's an excellent communicator and a tremendous person when it comes to level of insight.
I love that. You know, and again, I always like to remind the audience, the main point of this is to think about who in your community is already around you, right, that you can be paying more attention to and learning from. I love that we could all learn from Tony Robbins and Brene Browns and all those guys, but I often find it's, you know, paying attention to the people who are doing it every day that you can really take some really meaty stuff away from. So this moves me then really nicely into magic question number 6 for you, which is, tell us about your favorite boss or teacher. Who's really influenced you?
So I've been really lucky that throughout my career, I've always sought out good mentors. And some of those were people who I reported to directly. Other people were just people who I wanted to learn from. And over the last 7+ years, I've been lucky to have 2 bosses that have been absolutely tremendous. So my former boss at my prior company, named David Haas, was absolutely tremendous. And my current boss, again, Brad Moran. And the reason that they've been great is because they push and they challenge me and they let the rope out and they know when to pull things back in. They're not afraid to have tough conversations, but at the same time, they're very inspiring and they work collaboratively. So they take the same approach I do, is they want to win as a team. And they get to know me personally, which has been great. So when you feel like you're working as a team together, it makes you want to work that much harder and work better together as a team. And they're the biggest cheerleaders when you're succeeding as well.
I love that. Do you find that some of those takeaways you're now paying forward to the people who report to you and, you know, that are around you?
Absolutely. You know, I've always, everybody's heard the phrase that things roll downhill from the top down.
Yeah.
And so when you have leaders in a company who are pushing that down and using that example, there's no way to avoid doing that across the organization, and then it spreads.
Well, Sean, it's just been such a pleasure having you on the show. I mean, you are the epitome of, you know, more wisdom in less time. I mean, you really are very impactful with your ideas and very poignant with the way that you deliver them. It's been an absolute delight hearing some of your thoughts. If folks wanted to reach out and introduce themselves or learn more, where might they go to find you?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love being on this podcast. People can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and they can also reach me at my Citrus email address at sean.cheyney@citrusad.com.
That's amazing. Well, again, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
And this is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator Podcast. For more ideas and insights, please do go check us out at www.concilioteam.com. And we look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care.